Sidelined with Jack, Tom and Kato.
Yeah, welcome to the Sidelined podcast. I'm Jack, and this week we've got something a bit different because Tom and K-Dog not available, so Harry and Rob are filling in. G'day, boys.
G'day, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be here, mate. Thank you for having us.
So the Brownlow just wrapped up 2 nights ago. What do we think of that?
I mean, no shockers on who won it. I think everyone would have called Tom Mitchell by the end of the year, especially with a lot of the injuries and suspensions that went down. It was sort of going to be hard for him not to win it from there. A few shockers in the runners-up, though. I mean, Angus Brayshaw coming third. Not many people would have called that one. Wasn't even invited into the Brownlow itself. So
Yeah.
bit stiff there, but I mean, consistent season for him. He played really well. Was a bit of a shocker to see him pole so much over the midfielders in his team, like Gawn and Oliver. I mean, Hogan, Petrarca, Nathan Jones. To bring in that many votes with all them around was a bit of a shock, to be honest. And out of all the Melbourne players to poll that well, you weren't expecting it from him.
Yeah, I don't completely understand why he wasn't invited anyway. Because I think Harms was invited.
Harms was there, yeah.
Harms,
Petrarca,
I don't know how they
Petrarca
thought
there?
that Harms was going to poll more than Brayshaw.
Yeah. All I saw Harms as was a very solid tagger throughout the season, and that's it.
Harms is a good player,
He's
but
a great player,
he was
but
never going to poll more votes than Brayshaw.
No way. One of the things I loved was the light side that Brayshaw saw from it. Obviously, that tweet that he had put up saying thanks to the AFL for mailing through his third place Brownlow. So
Yeah.
it's good to see he still saw the funny side through it, but it'd be very frustrating. I think,
But it is a big honour to get invited to it. So, I mean, polling that well and not even copying an invite's got to be a bit salty. But
Jaden Stevenson got a call up over Adam Treloar to the Brownlow, which I was a bit...
I think that was because he won the
That
Rising
is-
Star, so he
that's
does
very-
get invited.
That's very
regardless,
true.
But,
There would have been someone else there that took Treloar's spot instead.
They're all stars, so they...
All right,
I
mate.
mean, I think it was a bit of a shocker just to see how much he polled over Gawn, though, one of the sort of premier players in the league.
Yeah, and
Just shows Ruckman getting a bit stiffed again.
side bottom over Grundy as well.
Yeah, that one really surprised me, Jack. I think I expected coming into the night that Grundy would probably poll the most for us, and obviously not. Pretty happy that, for Steele to come runner-up, but at the same time, you got to feel hard done by one of the Ruckman, Gawn or Grundy. They had a great year, and, what more can they do?
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the last Brownlow medalist that wasn't a midfielder to win, and it was like Tony Lockett back in the 80s. So that was...
It's too hard. You need to be out kicking 7 goals a game kind of thing just to get the 3 votes.
Yeah.
Because a midfielder's 25 disposals is apparently looking better than 4 goals from a forward now.
Yeah,
So
because they just look at possessions, which is unfortunate.
The last time
They don't look at the 50 hit-outs to advantage that Gawn gets every single game.
Oh, yeah.
Or even the 25 touches that Grundy gets around the
Grundy's
but
basically like our fourth midfielder,
Yeah.
fourth rover.
can tap it to himself.
Yeah, I think the last time that we actually got a glimpse of someone outside the midfield winning the Brownlow was probably Richo back 10 years ago when he came runner-up to Adam Cooney.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. And he would have been in shock too because he was fairly drunk. So
No, I think Adam Cooney was in shock.
yeah, that was...
Did you see the interview afterwards?
Nah.
There was like
Can't
Cooney
remember.
taking the piss out of Richo for it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
He let him
He
win
let him
the
wear the
medal.
Brownlow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's a
No, I haven't seen that.
nice touch from him.
Yeah. Also, on the Brownlow night, the goal of the year, Jack Higgins.
It was a throw.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was a throw as well. He nearly said it was a throw.
Yeah.
In his speech, he was like, "I threw it round the post, dropped it."
He's an interesting character, isn't he, Higo?
I'll tell you what, he's lucky he managed to make it into the AFL because I don't know what else he could do.
Oh, mate, yeah, he made the right call. Dropping out.
We need more characters like him, though. I think
Yeah, he does make it
we
more
have
entertaining.
too many players that are just so PR trained, and they're just they give you the cliches, but then you've got Higo went up there. What did he say? His heart's going 1,000
Minutes per second.
Yeah, minutes per second. So it's always refreshing to see someone like this in the league, no doubt.
Yeah.
does make it a bit more interesting for the post-game interviews or anything like
Oh
that.
yeah, it does definitely.
Yeah, because he's dumb as shit. But anyway, I've actually got a quote from one of our good friends who used to play with him. Said he's the dumbest bloke he's ever met in his life.
Yep.
I mean, probably not wrong.
We'll keep that confidential, but yeah, that'll.
We'll keep his
confirm.
name confidential
Yeah.
just so he doesn't hate him forever. But yeah,
If Higgins is listening, though, I think you're a star.
Yeah.
Just in case.
share it to your mates as well. So yeah, leading on from the Brownlow, go straight to the granny. We know Rob's prediction already, but Harry, who do you think's going to win the grand final?
I mean, based off past years, it's hard to go past Collingwood. Just the fact that it's in Melbourne makes such a difference to these interstate teams.
Yeah, for sure.
And for big clubs like Richmond and Collingwood, the ground just makes such a difference to them. So it'd be hard to go past. And I think it's going to be a bit wet on Saturday.
Yeah, it is
which
going to be
is
wet.
going to play against sort of Josh Kennedy, Jack Darling.
It sort of takes McGovern in the sense out of the picture too at times because he's a big boy and
West Coast are a massive team.
they are they're one of the tallest teams in the league.
I think they probably are the tallest
yeah
team.
they are.
And I think the Ruckmen are going to struggle a bit against Grundy. I mean, they did well against Gawn last week.
Yeah, Gawn was very quiet. I think Lysett and Vardy did a fantastic job keeping him quiet.
But I think that's more because Gawn's like the perfect ruckman, but Grundy's more than just a ruckman.
Yeah, Grundy can.
Like
give
I
you
think
more
as
than
a
just,
as a pure ruckman, Gawn's probably better than Grundy. But then as a player, just at doing everything else,
Around the ground,
Grundy's
you'd much rather Grundy.
exactly
I think I'd like to also add. I think I'm sort of confident as well, but you've got to go back to 2015 when Hawthorn and West Coast played twice, and West Coast absolutely killed Hawthorn. They were up at one stage by almost 70 points in that qualifying final, and then they won by 50 points in the end, and then you fast forward to about the grand final 3 weeks later, and Hawthorn have just absolutely done a 360 and have just absolutely smashed them. So that's one of my things that I'm keeping in mind, but it's gonna be good.
I hope it's a good game regardless.
I think it should be.
I'm coming in fairly neutral, so I'm not too fussed who wins, but I just do want to see a good game. If it can stay close, then that'd be good. There's been a few shitty grannies recently. It hasn't been too entertaining, so I would like to see a good one sort of go down to the wire.
I would say that, but I don't want to have a heart attack. I think, win by 40. I reckon that'd be good. Keep me nice and calm during the game.
I agree. Norm Smith wise, I'm gonna go with Tagoe. I think if he can get out on the run and just lead out throughout the game, I mean, against GWS, he was just killing it. He was everywhere.
Oh, you saw what he did against Rance.
Yeah,
Who's apparently the best defender in the league.
Well, they made it hard on Rance because they made him actually play on someone, which Rance doesn't do. So
Rance is so used to just being a loose player in the back line, just doing whatever the hell he wanted to do.
I mean, it sort of sends a message out to the rest of the league on how to play them. If you make Rance accountable for a player, it just tears into shambles. I mean, obviously, Dusty being injured was a big effect. I mean, 2 minutes into the game, going into the forward line, never useful, especially for such a dominant player like him. But regardless, I'm going to say Tagoe to win Norm Smith. I think he has the potential to have a big game. Other than that, obviously the midfielders, Sidebottom, Pendlebury, and Grundy all need to step up, have big games. Treloar as well.
It's going to have to be a team effort.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I just want it to be a good game. That'd definitely help.
Yeah. Well, for me, Norm Smith was, I think if Collingwood win, the two main players that I think can win it is probably still Sidebottom and Adam Treloar. Imagine if Mason Cox wins with Norm Smith. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
That would be just unbelievable.
It's going to be really interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah. No, Friday night, I was in shock. Every time he marked it or got near the ball, he just clunked onto it. And the reason why I was shocked is that in the following weeks, maybe the last couple of weeks before that, he couldn't mark the ball. Every single thing that came to him in the West Coast game, he dropped. Same goes for the GWS game. I think this is probably the last Friday night was probably the first time that I've seen Mason Cox probably back in form since it'd have to be round 17, round 18 against Essendon. So it has been a fair while between drinks for the big fella, but it's good to see him form-wise again, getting up there.
I mean, it gives a good name for the AFL as well. If it can branch out to different countries.
Yeah.
Bit of a off-topic, but I mean, if the game ever was to go international, which it's going to be a bit hard to do, but it is good to get some international players in that actually represent the game well and that can sort of give it a good name.
100%.
Yeah, well, I follow this page on Facebook called USAFL, and they've actually got a league out there. And once the finals are over, he's going out and meeting and greeting with the people who actually watch the AFL out in the US. So I think that's
Awesome.
pretty.
That's what you want.
That's pretty cool.
We want to try and globalise the game as much as we can. It's good for us. It's good for the world. It's a great sport. I think it's good to get it out there.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a lot of freak athletes out in America. So if the name does get out, I mean, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, a couple
few
more
players trying it.
Yeah,
If it works for Coxie, I mean, who knows who else it could work for.
Yeah, a couple more reject basketball players would be good. 7 foot.
And what about you, Jack? Who's your Norm Smith prediction, mate?
Probably say for the Norm Smith, still side bottom. I think he's probably one of the most,
Yeah,
well, I say underrated midfielders, but we saw the votes he got the other night, which was, I think, surprised most people, really.
I was a bit surprised, obviously.
But,
'cause I expected.
I think he's definitely one, if not probably the best midfielder in your team.
Yeah,
A lot of people
no,
would say
I agree with
Pendles or
that.
Treloar, but I think he's definitely your best midfielder.
I think he's been very solid for a number of years now,
Yeah.
without getting a lot of credit for it. I mean, with playing with Pendlebury and Treloar, it is a bit tricky to sort of shine because they are such superstars. But I mean, it is good to see for him to get a bit of recognition for it.
Yeah, and he has come a long way. He started out as a more or less a goal sneak, someone that you can trust down in the forward line, and he's sort of, he's developed his game to now become a midfielder, which is great. So.
Speaking of someone who started off as a goal sneak and then ended up as a midfielder, Luke Dalhouse has been in the news recently.
It's a hot topic for you, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah. He seriously is frustrating me a lot from someone that I used to love very much at the club, especially because he's a 2016 Premiership player. You know, always put his heart on the line for the team, and now I think he's I don't know if he's realised that he's not as good as he used to be or what he's done, but he's just gone off the rails and decided he wants to go and live on the beach and get paid shit tons of money.
Sounds a bit like Tom Liberatore, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think K-Dog was actually saying to me the other day that we should get rid of Libba and Dalhouse and just get rid of the rest of the cancer in the team from 2016.
Oh,
Honestly,
That was
not a
his
bad
words,
idea.
not mine.
Very big call.
I
'Cause
mean,
It's a Clay Smith's already gone.
Yeah.
Redpath's gone.
Yeah.
Biggs is gone. So that party group that apparently partied too hard after 2016, the only person left now is Libba. But the difference between Libba and everyone else is Libba is a fucking gun compared to the other players.
Yeah, well,
he
in that
obviously
group.
has a lot of potential to be a good player, but he's just not doing anything with it at the moment. The fact he's being dropped, not
Hard
getting
done
a
by.
game.
Hard done by doing your knee too. I mean,
Yeah, he's been stiff,
Yeah.
but like the last time he had a full season, he was number one for contested possessions in the league.
and how long ago was that? That was.
It was 2015 because he was injured in 2016 as
2016.
well.
He
He got
but when
injured.
he was back in 2016 and he was at his prime, he was an unbelievable player then as
Yeah,
well.
once he came back, yeah.
Phew.
Yeah, oh, in the final series he was immense, but
Yeah.
everyone was.
That was a team effort that final series.
There wasn't
I mean,
there wasn't one person in the Bulldogs team that was shit in that 2016
no,
thing. That was
they
the
all
reason we won
stepped
it.
up and
I mean,
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't have called it. What'd you guys finish that year?
7th.
That's a good effort to come from there.
still though,
Yeah.
you want
Happen often.
15 wins that year too, and to finish 7th.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You don't see that often.
Getting into some trade rumours now. Stephen May, Rob, and
Yeah.
Jesse Hogan.
Yeah, no,
What's your
that's
theory there?
So from what I've heard, I don't know what's happened with Jesse Hogan, but the rumours are he is unhappy at Melbourne. I think he is homesick. You've got to feel also that I think he wants to spend more time with his family since his dad passed away tragically last year. I think that may be a motive for him to go back home.
I
And,
definitely think it is, yeah.
and fair enough. I know we hear about young players that are homesick and this and that, but I think this has definitely some really strong motives. And you know, I feel he will go back home, and this will also open up, I think, the Stephen May sort of saga at the moment, I think that will open up for Melbourne to try and get Stephen May, which is a very realistic chance.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, wouldn't be a bad pickup for them. Just solid up that defense a
think-
little bit more.
I think Stephen May and Jake Leave would just be unstoppable in that Melbourne defence. They would just be, they're already an up-and-coming team. They would just make them even more stronger.
Well, against West Coast, it was pretty clear what they had a lot of problems against West Coast.
They did.
But
It doesn't help when you have as many clangers as they did that day.
yeah.
Just
think
a shocking football game from them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Watching it was actually ridiculous. You wouldn't think it was a prelim.
Oh, I stopped watching it. I couldn't watch it anymore.
But that's the thing. They beat West Coast.
I think that's why K-Dog's in
Optus.
hiding, actually.
They beat West Coast late in the season, I think, due to the fact that Kennedy and Darling were out.
Oh,
When you take Kennedy and
100%
Darling out of
agree with
that
that.
forward line, it just takes away their whole forward line. It takes away the crummers.
yeah.
Because then instead you've got Vardy and Lysette trying to sort of control that forward line as the tall option,
Yeah, well,
and it's not really...
Well, just look at what you're trying to compare. You're trying to compare two ruckmen that go forward to the Coleman medalist and Jack
he's
Darling, who's easily one of the best forwards in the league.
basically Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can get a full season together, for sure he's got a chance at All-Australian.
Yeah.
This season he started off really strong and then got a bit unlucky with injury.
Yeah. All right, Harry, you got some ideas for Carlton?
I mean, as a Carlton supporter, there's not much to look forward to at the moment besides the off-season. So, keeping that in mind, there is just a few things that I would like. This is sort of the dream scenario for the off-season. So, obviously, Dylan Shield, big target at the moment, wants to come back down. I don't want to give away a number one pick. So, I want to make sure that we take... what's his name? I've just gone blank now.
I know who you're talking about.
Sam Walsh, sorry. Sam Walsh we want to take with the first pick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jack Lukosius obviously looks like a star, but with Charlie Curnow in there already, we don't need another centre-half forward. And Harry Mackay as well, obviously looks very promising. So, would like to take Sam Walsh, another just midfielder that looks really solid. Obviously dominated in the TAC Cup this year. Played for Vic Country. But I would like to trade next year's first-round pick for Dylan Shield. It is sort of hard to say on whether that would be enough to get Dylan Shield, but it's worth a shot anyway.
Yeah.
I think Essendon and Hawthorn are the other two teams that are sort of going for him the hardest. I'm not too sure what else they'd be willing to give up to get him.
They don't really have that much to give up unless they
Exactly.
lose
So-
a player.
Yeah, which I don't know how inclined they'd be. I mean,
Yeah.
we've
Especially
obviously
if they're...
got better future round picks to give away.
Yeah, exactly. If they're assuming that they're going to be finals next year, their picks aren't going to be very...
Yeah, Mitch McGovern also seems pretty set on coming to Carlton. I think he's chosen us as his preferred club. So if we do end up getting a priority pick, giving away that for McGovern to Adelaide would be the ideal situation, which obviously is a great forward to get. Very solid, and I think it'd slot in well with the team around Curnow, Mackay, and just like if we can get a few small forwards in there, sort of get some crumbing prowess, really benefit us. And then from there, pick up a few other sort of free agents, like for Solo, get in a bit of experience. Obviously, once out of Collingwood, and Collingwood don't really want him as well, so definitely benefit from getting that sort of an experienced player in the age range we sort of want, 27, 28. At the moment, we're either too old or too young, and we've just been turning over players like it's nothing. Still a few players that we need to get rid of in the off-season. Nick Graham, number one, get rid of him. I mean, superstar in the VFL, but can't do a single thing in the AFL. Kerridge needs to go. I think we keep Sam Rowe on for another year. I see a lot of people telling us to get rid of him, but
I don't mind Rowie.
yeah, he's a solid defender, and
very
he gives it his all every week, so I can't be against that. Even if we keep him on for another season, I'm not against that, but that is sort of just the basis of what I'd like for Carlton to do this off-season, sort of put us in a good position for future.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea, for sure.
I mean, Shield coming in takes a bit of pressure off Cripps. Also gives Dow, Sam Walsh, sort of that midfield core to sort of start getting together. And from there, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, Dow had flashes of playing really well this year.
Especially that Gold Coast game.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
stepped up that game, which was good to see. I'm not too sure on our number 10 pick, Lockie O'Brien, this year. He was a bit seemed a bit out of it at times, a bit slow for the game, and just wasn't getting a lot of the ball. But I mean, obviously still a young kid, so there is a lot still to go for him. But that's pretty much it for the Carlton's off season. Hopefully we can pull something off and not just let us down like a lot of years previously.
Well, that's my personal opinion. Is the reason Carlton are down there is because of your poor off seasons previously. Like it's not. I don't think it's because of your coaching or anything like that. I think it's because of your recruiting, and it's just been.
I mean, if anything goes by, if people are trying to say sack Bolts, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you've seen the last sort of 3 years, like people wanted Hardwick out, wins the premiership, Buckley. Everyone was saying start of this year, sack Buckley. I mean, it just shows that you need to stay with your coach.
Yeah.
You've seen that Bolts has got a lot of good ideas. He gets along with the players really well. Just leave him in there. If we've got a contending team and we're still finishing shit, then get rid of him, fair enough. But when we're turning over 40 players within the last couple of years, I mean, not sure what they expect him to do. You've got to give him a shot.
I think he does well with the team he has.
I mean, I think we've turned our drafting and stuff around as well previous years.
Yeah, it's on the up since
sort of
a while ago. But
Wiedering struggled to get a full preseason in, struggled with injury, and then we've been throwing him around in weird positions. I mean, it's not going to help his development putting him in full forward and that kind of stuff. But you've seen when they get him in the VFL, he's absolutely dominated the game. He just needs to get healthy, sort of get his confidence up as well. I mean, he's got the skills to play in the AFL, so hopefully we can see something, bit of a breakout season from him this year.
Yeah. So with that, we'll move on to the A-League, which is starting... When's it starting, Rob?
2 weeks from now, I'm pretty sure.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so getting close.
So our team, Melbourne City, we're not looking too good for the start of the season.
No, it isn't. It isn't. I've still got question marks about sort of the direction we're heading in, especially with Warren Joyce.
I think just since we've become City, we've become this sort of feeder club for Manchester City to try
even New York.
But not even for them to get players, for them to make profit. Like that's just what we are to them, just to make profit. And I think that for the fans, that's not good.
It's not good. No, not at all. It's how I see it is from what we were with Melbourne Hut to what we transitioned into with Melbourne City. It went from these family atmosphere type vibes to a very business orientated culture.
But we say family atmosphere, but also, we had a good support base as well.
We did.
We were getting, AFL style cheer squad. We had we had a good terrace. We had, everyone was supporting each other, and now the terrace is in turmoil.
Oh yeah, no,
they don't want to. They don't want to support the club anymore.
We used to sit in the terrace a lot, and I guess as time went on, we seemed to move one row and the next row, and then we'd keep moving across. We didn't want to be with them. It's just like they completely forgot about what was going on in the pitch, and they'd worry about what was happening in there, and it's frustrating.
Completely with you, because we used to sit up the back, and
that's right.
They used to divide the terrace by saying the people up the back need to start chanting when we were chanting the whole time.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because they
were trying to make us like that we were the enemies, and then they would start to chant towards us rather than chanting against the opposition. They would chant towards us and make us feel.
Last thing you need is the supporters fighting against each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's just ridiculous, really.
And it's going on from what just Harry said. It's become a trend these days. Not just us, teams all over the A-League, their fan bases having disputes. Melbourne Victory last year, obviously, what happened with the Northern Terrace, how that disbanded. Not good.
Well, the off-field, that's just the off-field stuff. I think we're in trouble with the on-field stuff as well.
We are.
If you just look at Victory's signings compared to ours, they've signed. Everyone knows Honda. Toivonen, who some people might not know, but he's Sweden's number one striker.
He scored. He was in the World Cup, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's Sweden's number one striker.
He scored against Germany, didn't he? Yeah, that's right.
I don't know how they've managed to fit them both under the salary cap. One of them's obviously taken a massive pay cut.
Yeah, they've got to.
But either way, they've done a really good job, and it didn't say that Delayet was our marquee, but I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, was he? Is it a loan or
I don't think it's a loan. I think
don't
it's
know,
I think he might be our marquee. But if
Okay,
if he's not our marquee, I think there's still some hope for us to
Yeah, there
be a
is.
decent footballing team.
Um,
But if he's our marquee, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think bringing in O'Halloran, I think from Rangers, that could sort of help.
He looks like a good player. to be
That
honest.
could help Bruno up front. I think he will be playing probably on the right, maybe playing behind Bruno as a false nine. I don't know. But I think bringing him in, that sort of maybe helps out, like with the workload for Bruno, because I think last year it just seemed at times, it was just when Bruno was playing, it was just Bruno trying to make the chances, no one else helping him.
Yeah, well, except when he was injured, and it was Ross
No.
doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, and speaking of the devil, Ross McCormack going to Central Coast,
I think that's a massive loss for us.
it's frustrating because it shows that, obviously Ross doesn't want to come back to City.
I don't think he was even marquee for them.
No,
was
he wasn't. He was
exactly.
no.
So, why wouldn't you bring him back to City? He
No.
wanted to come back to City. He wanted to stay at City last season.
Yeah.
He went to Aston Villa, didn't play a game,
No.
and went back.
Yeah.
Aston Villa have got rid of him again. So I don't know why we didn't
It's
try and get him at least.
I don't know what the hell's going on. And then you look at I've been watching the Amazon Prime documentary with Man City. You see the way Man City are run. That's what I wish we would sort of, in a sense,
Yeah,
maybe treated like.
for sure.
Oh,
Well,
it's just
they've
frustrating.
gone from because the thing that makes me a little bit more positive about the City coming in is they were the same as us. Like all their
They
fans were
They were.
worried about this Arab
Yeah.
oil money coming in and
yeah.
buying them, and they were like, oh, we're a business now, we're not a football club. And then
Yeah.
now they're one of the biggest powerhouses in Europe,
Yeah, they are.
and they've got an actual
100%.
fan base. Like some of them are only just joined onto City but that happens when you're a big club.
Exactly right. You're going to get more fans regardless of,
Like obviously we're not hoping to be the next Man City because that's never going to
No,
happen in the
that's not
A-League.
going to happen. We're not going to.
But at least we want to
we
challenge
want
for
to
a
be
title.
we want to be the biggest club in Australia.
We've
That
not
is-
even made a grand final yet.
Is there like potential to still get a marquee signing this season, or is it?
Well, that's what
closed
we're
off
not
now?
sure about. We're not sure if because we've signed an ex-Premier League winner in Richie DeLayet, who
And that's
played
great,
for
'cause we-
Leicester,
yeah.
but we're not sure if he's the marquee or not. If
No,
if it's a loan, it won't be he won't be the marquee. But if he's been signed, then he's probably our marquee.
How long ago did that happen?
a couple
weeks
weeks.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like not all of the information sort of been released on it yet.
Well, they usually when they post on Facebook they go our new marquee, but they didn't. So
No.
I think maybe he might be he might not be.
No, speaking on some better news though, Curtis Good. It's good to have him back.
Yeah, well, old Hart boy
Yeah.
went off to Newcastle, played for Dundee as well.
and as well as that, he had a spell at Bradford.
Yeah.
He only ended up in those.
And Bradford got promoted, didn't they?
Yeah, they
while
did.
he was there,
They did.
yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is that he's only played 7 competitive games during that 4 or 5 year span. He didn't play a game. He didn't play a competitive game at Newcastle, but he accumulated 7 games for both.
Yeah. I think just for
yeah.
the experience though, because he's still 25.
He's 25, 26, so he can still
I
get.
think for the experience, just even like coming back to the A-League
Yeah.
after being there,
he'll
I
be-
think he's still going to be
he-
a good signing.
At heart, he was a great defender, so I'm only expecting him to get better and better. And yeah, I think he can be a really solid rock in defence, showing that we've also lost Michael Jakobsen, which I saw as one of our best defenders.
I think that was a massive loss.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what was going on there.
I don't know. That
Who
was
have
dumb.
you got to win it this year, Jeff?
Well, I really can't go past victory again. Sydney have made some good signings, but
But
Drew
they've
just
also-
looked too strong. Like
Yeah.
they were already such a great team,
Yeah, well,
and they've made some massive signings. So
and Sydney FC have lost Bobo and
Yeah.
Adrian Mijiewski.
who were their two best
Which-
players
yeah,
last
and-
year by a million miles.
I definitely think, as much as I hate to say it, Victory are going to be the ones that probably will be very close to being an invincible side this year.
Yeah.
I think they're just light years ahead. So when it comes to the signings and
Unless we pull some,
rabbit out of the hat.
marquee that's just out of nowhere, someone that, hasn't got a club yet. Has Marquisio got a club yet?
No, he hasn't.
Because he's a free agent.
I'd
so-
love to see. I'd love to see someone like Marquisio at City.
I mean, Ronaldo not a great start at the Champions League, so I think there's always a shot of City signing him. If I'm honest with you.
yeah.
Doesn't help when you decide to tap players on the top of the head, does it, Jack?
Nah. What do you reckon? Red card or not?
No, I said this. I've said this last week, and the thing is, if that was at Real Madrid, Ronaldo would not have gotten that red card.
Nah.
This is what Real Madrid are one of the most corrupt teams in Europe,
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with you.
and I think their president, Di
Including
Stefano-
their pig of a captain that I would 100%
Oh, yeah.
put to the
I think-
firing
I think,
squad.
Yeah, Di Stefano's definitely slipping some money under the table here and there to UEFA and FIFA and even the Spanish FA. But no, that was not a red card. He did that. I've seen a video of him doing that at Real Madrid, and he got away with it. He tapped someone on the head during a
Yeah.
game for them.
Well, I think maybe if if he pulled his hair, it would have been a
Yeah.
different story.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't really tell if he
Yeah.
pulls it or if he just touches it.
Yeah.
Because if he's pulled his hair, then it's probably a red card.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It makes it even more ironic that it's against Valencia, one of the teams that absolutely despise Ronaldo in Spain.
Yeah, for sure.
You saw the scenes, him walking off into the tunnel.
Into
I think
his out.
there was not one fan not waving him off.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think that'd happen anywhere. There's a lot of Ronaldo haters out there.
Oh yeah, no.
and
that's-
for some fair reason, I guess, but probably
Yeah.
not.
Oh, he has a soft spot in my heart, but
No, of course he does. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, talking about that, we'll move on to the Prem now.
Mm.
My team, Liverpool, we've started off perfect. Haven't dropped any points
They've-
yet.
I had questions about them before the Spurs game, Jack, and they have gone away quickly. I'm going to put it out there now. I think Liverpool will break that duck and win the league this season.
But I hope so.
I think it helps signing Keita and Fabinho. I saw something
Oh,
about.
we've just gone. We've finally done what we need to do. Like we've looked at our team
Yeah.
and we've gone. Okay,
you
what
shipped
do
off
we need?
Chan,
We need a goalkeeper. We need
Alisson,
a
unreal.
box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
And we just need to shore up the defense a bit more.
Yeah.
And we did that. We did that last season, really, shoring up the defense.
Signing Van Dijk.
Van
Van
Dijk,
Dijk-
and everyone questioned the 75 million, which I would 100% pay again, probably even more after what I've seen.
Van Dijk he's a big boy, but he's just so powerful and fast as well.
Yeah,
What is he? He's like 6'4", 6'5".
something like
And
that.
he's he's powerful. He's fast. He can be an aerial threat with corners. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a very good signing, and I think Joe Gomez has fit the role
Joe
really well.
Gomez, he's been a slow one over. He sort of developed
Especially because they thought,
really slowly.
Lovren
but
coming
now-
back from that World Cup final
Yeah,
after playing
yeah,
for Croatia and doing really, really well.
yeah.
Joe Gomez has just come in and held his spot,
You've got some really good depth in your defence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we haven't had for
No.
years.
No. Yeah.
And I think now it's gone the other way for Chelsea. So Chelsea, everyone's saying, everyone used to say about Liverpool,
Mhm.
if Liverpool shore up their defence, they will challenge for the title.
Yeah.
And now they're saying about Chelsea, Chelsea need to shore up their defence, and then they might challenge for the title.
I mean, Liverpool aren't even favourites at the moment as well.
Oh, really? Who's favourites?
Yeah, Man City are at $1.72.
Oh, really? So Man
Liverpool
City have
are-
already dropped points, and so have Chelsea.
Yeah, well,
Liverpool at $2.63, and then Chelsea are at
Yeah.
15. So
I think the problem is-
looks like a two-horse race at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah,
well, I think-
Liverpool have got a pretty tough run coming up now. So
Yeah.
I think once we see what happens when we get through that, if we win most of those games, we're going to be dead favourites.
Just this time, don't celebrate in December, mate.
Yeah, it's probably not a
No.
probably a good idea.
Yeah, that win against PSG was unbelievable. I think that was a great game.
Oh, Bobby Firmino, mate.
I loved his celebration,
Yeah.
especially after that gruesome eye injury. I saw the photos of how deep that finger was in his eye. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and everyone said he dived as well. Like when
Did
when
they?
people watched the
No.
game, they were like, "Oh, that's
Really?
a dive, that's a dive." And then the photography came out.
Tell you what, Tottenham fans are ferals anyway.
Yeah.
You go to England, I think, I remember speaking to someone when I was in London, they said that Tottenham is probably up there with one of the most unsafest areas in London.
Yeah.
And,
No, I've definitely heard of
Yeah.
that.
it's
And West Ham.
West Ham, yeah, I had the pleasure of staying in West Ham, and
yeah.
it was quite an interesting experience.
Yeah. What do you think of United, Rob?
Oh, it's frustrating.
The Pogba Mourinho saga.
It's Mourinho is sort of making it out like he rates Pogba, but I sort of feel behind closed door, the way I think Mourinho has been treating Pogba and a handful of other players like crap. I remember.
He
He
didn't.
came
He
up-
didn't let Martial go to the birth of his child.
No, that is very stiff. And
That's
I
ridiculous.
disagree. Could be calmer. Did you see the video of
It's
him?
like-
Yeah,
As much as football is life, there's things
They-
that are more important
that's
than your job.
more important. And
So you got to let people do like the fact that you would
Yeah.
even think about not letting a player go and see the birth of his child
Yeah.
for training, or
Oh,
was it a training or a game? I don't even know. But
Oh,
either way,
no, I can't remember.
doesn't matter what
Um,
it is.
No, great. We had a great start against Leicester. Obviously, that goal we conceded to them late in the game was a bit unlucky, but to walk away with the 3 points in the first game of the season was great, and then to go out and play the way we did against Brighton the next week was, I didn't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
And then you go over and then, home game at Spurs, perfect opportunity to maybe pull off a great win. I watched the first half. I just landed in Doha, so I got to watch the first half, and we absolutely dominated them. Lukaku should have scored. He had an open shot on goal,
He's been terrible.
and he stuffed that up. I couldn't watch the first half. The second half. Plane lands about 14 hours later, and I check the scores. One of the first things I do when I turn my phone on, 3-0. We lost 3-0, and I was gobsmacked.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And it doesn't help when you draw 1-1 at Wolves. I mean, at home
there's too many points dropped already.
No, it's like 2 seasons ago, Mourinho's first season, where we had about 13, 14 draws. We had the least losses out of all the Premier League teams that season, and we still finished 6th because we had about 13 or 14 draws.
Yeah, against teams you should have beat.
Yeah, I mean, drawing 1-1 to Stoke, these
Like,
sort
they
of
weren't
games,
honourable draws.
They weren't honourable draws. No.
They were honourable draws for the other teams.
I think that Wolves game, watching the way Mourinho sort of set up that game, that whole game, that whole second half and parts of that first half, we were trying to play direct to Fellaini, which that was really frustrating.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So now moving on to something that's not really my forte, but you guys know quite a lot about it. The NBA. This is close to my heart, though. This first topic we're going to talk about. Jimmy Butler requesting a trade from my beloved Timberwolves. What do you guys think?
I mean, a bit of backstory behind it. So apparently the feud started after Game 5 against the Rockets, where they got knocked out, and Jimmy Butler wouldn't even go back with the team, and he refused to do a medical, so he went back to LA by himself, I'm pretty sure, instead of flying back home to Minnesota. So, and then he refused to complete a medical exam that is usually part of their exit interviews. So obviously it's been going on for a while now, but I'm just a bit unsure as to why it's all of a sudden come out now, not when it was sort of prime time during the trade period.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of him going to another team, if he was to go to another team, I'd expect him to be the number 2 star. If he wants to be in a title contending team, he should be the number 2 star. So I'm unsure as to why he's going to a team where he wants to be the number 1 star. Minnesota built around him.
Well, that's yeah.
And he couldn't get it done. Finished 8th seed. That's a pretty shocking performance, having 2 potential All-Stars. Obviously, Wiggins really down last year, but
Yeah.
Cat still put up monster numbers regardless. And for them to be the 8th seed going into, obviously, a stacked West, but you'd expect them to be sort of 4th, 5th instead of 8th.
Yeah, well, that was the first thing that I thought when I saw that is looking at the teams he requested to go to is that he wants to be the star. Like, he's not
Yeah,
he's not looking for a ring.
Knicks, Nets, and Clippers were the 3 teams.
In every single one of those teams, bar the Knicks, he's the star.
I mean, even potentially over Porzingis coming off an ACL.
Yeah. Probably over Porzingis, because I didn't think about the ACL, but
Yeah. I mean, if he really wants to contend for a title, I'd be going sort of...
Oh, there's so many other teams you could go to.
Toronto, Lakers, even sort of Portland or a team like that that have an established sort of team around them wouldn't be a bad option. Obviously, they have to give up something for them.
Yeah, you have to give up.
But if he's not... The fact that he's come out and said he didn't want to go to the Lakers because he doesn't want to be sort of second fiddle behind LeBron. I mean, how stupid can you get?
Yeah.
Like, you got to accept that you're going to be second fiddle to LeBron, one of the greatest players of our generation, and arguably maybe one of the greatest players of all time.
And I can understand not wanting to go if you think like you're not going to get shots, but with LeBron, that like you get shots, and he's more than happy to facilitate to people. And if you get a good connection with him, it's like almost unstoppable. You saw him with Wade back in the day.
Yeah.
Such a like dynamic duo. Really.
Even him with Caleb was pretty good for a while there. So.
Yeah.
And that was just him and Caleb. There was no one else in that team
and
at all.
I read that Kevin Love and LeBron James, especially towards the end of LeBron's sort of second time at the Cavs, that they were very close. They were seen. Kevin Love was seen as one of LeBron's closest friends within the Cavs locker room. So obviously, Jimmy Butler, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He wanting to be the star player of the Timberwolves, coming in straight from another team. For me, that's no.
I mean, obviously he's an established star. I mean, I think 4 straight All-Star appearances. And
Yeah.
he's had 2 All-NBA selections. So he is definitely a gun in the league. He is one of the better players. But I think in the NBA these days, a player at that caliber is never going to be a championship number 1 player.
Yeah.
Obviously, you see sort of Golden State, a number of All-Stars. But if he's going to these teams that have no All-Stars, I mean, besides from Porzingis, who should have been in the All-Star game last season but got injured just before it, they don't have any All-Stars on their team. And the Nets, I mean, it's just a lot of salary. So I think he's just hoping to land an all. I mean, it is a big free agency coming up next season. So I think he just wants them to land sort of another star. There is a lot of rumours of Kyrie going to the Knicks as well as Jimmy Butler. They've sort of been rumoured to be together as a linked duo.
All right. Well, that would be a pretty good team.
Yeah, exactly.
Kyrie,
I mean,
Butler, Porzingis.
yeah, obviously New York fans would have to be happy with that.
Yeah, of course.
But I feel the Lakers would be a good option. Even a team like Toronto, I've heard a few rumours as to whether they should try trade for him. Sort of a Lowry for Butler swap.
Oh, really? Right.
And it'd sort of be going out on the last limb, Toronto going for Kawhi and Butler, but
Yeah.
the pair of them together wouldn't be a bad option. And even Lowry...
And getting rid of Lowry and
DeRozan,
DeRozan, though.
yeah. But even Lowry to the Timberwolves, I don't think is a bad move.
oh, well, we need a point guard.
Exactly. I mean,
So because who's our number 1? Jeff Teague.
Teague was your
and
number
then
1 this season.
Who have you got backup?
Tyus Jones.
That's right.
I mean, if you've got him, Wiggins needs to pick up his game this year. He got called out. Did you see when he got called out by Steven Jackson?
I saw something about it.
Yeah, so he's calling him out, saying he's got no heart, how he can't... Because you see, Wiggins' brother had a go at Jimmy Butler.
No.
And it's sort of... Wiggins' brother came out on Twitter and had a go at Jimmy Butler for requesting a trade.
Oh, yeah.
But it sort of seemed word of mouth from Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
So Steven Jackson came out on his Instagram calling out Andrew Wiggins, saying he's got no heart, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Saying you can't say anything about Butler, like, he's given it his all, like, you can't talk, you've done nothing this season.
Yeah.
You need to establish yourself before you're going to go talking shit kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a point to that as well. Wiggins had a really disappointing season this year.
Yeah, for sure.
For a number 1 draft pick, expecting a lot better.
Oh, definitely. I'm probably a bit biased, but when I saw Butler to Timberwolves, I still didn't think Butler was a star.
I remember talking to you about
Yeah.
it, telling you, going, do you see the trade kind of thing? And you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, because I
Zach
never...
LaVine gone.
I think at the Bulls, I was just sort of looking at him just like, he's a good player, but like, didn't think that he was going to take us.
You don't see him put up big games.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like he's a consistent player. Like,
Yeah, that's what
23 points.
that's what I was thinking. Just like, he's not going to carry you to a championship if you don't have the team.
I think you were still hoping on that sort of slow rebuild, get another good pick.
Yeah.
I mean, looking back on it now, it looks like Bulls won the trade big time with the Timberwolves.
Oh yeah, no, he screwed us, Jimmy, for sure. Because everyone, I think other than probably me, was like, oh, you won that trade for sure. And then I was just sort of like, yeah, I'm not so sure about it. Mainly because I don't really know that much about basketball, but
the usual rule coming out of like one of those trades is sort of which team got the star. And obviously you guys got the star out of it, but when you lose him the season after, I think it really just is going to depend on who you get back. But
yeah, if we get someone back decent for him, I guess it's not really...
His trade value is definitely going to be down, though, with 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah.
And doesn't look
and
happy.
who did we lose? Levine and Dunn.
Levine, Dunn, Markkanen.
Oh.
Markkanen, I rate Laurie Markkanen as
I
well.
didn't realise we had Markkanen. Oh, was
Yeah.
that a pick?
Yes.
Yeah,
that
it
was a
the
pick.
It was
that
the
you
pick
had to
for
give up.
Markkanen. Yeah, he had a solid first season as well for the Bulls.
Yeah, I think he put up a really good season. Especially, it's good seeing sort of a big guy that can shoot.
Yeah.
A bit exciting to the game, but he also did a lot more than that. Like showed himself inside. I think he's got a good future in the league as well.
Yeah, for
It'd be
sure.
interesting to see. But big signing for Cat, $190 million over 5 years, the Supermax.
Wow.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't really understand the salary very much, so I don't know what to say about that. What does that mean?
I mean, it's hard to say with Cat because he is really young, and I feel even though he's putting up these really big stats, I don't know whether he's a player that can lead a team to a championship, and I don't know how much better from here he is going to get. I mean, he's established himself as he can shoot, he can get inside, and do all that, but he hasn't really won many games from it, and so it's sort of
Yeah, I agree.
it's tricky to see whether he's going to be able to sort of put a team on his shoulders and actually carry them far into the playoffs. I mean, obviously you guys made it 8th, but Jimmy Butler, big season as well, like guiding you guys, and I think he was a big leader on the floor as well this year, Jimmy Butler. I think that's
Yeah.
part of the frustration behind him.
So would you say that we would need to? You think that trading Cat would be a good idea, or getting someone else to help the?
No,
Team.
I think keeping him, locking him down. Obviously, he's a super talented player, so you need him on the team regardless. But
He's not going to carry without someone
it
else.
wouldn't be worth letting him go away for free, and I don't think he would have signed for less. So you may as well sort of throw everything you've got at him. I think it's just gonna be a big season to see if Wiggins can step up.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, it's a bit tricky for Minnesota because it's not a big free agency destination.
Yeah.
So you do really need to be boasting a good team to bring a player in. I think that is one of the big sort of issues in the NBA. The fact that players just want to go play in the big areas. Like everyone wants to play in New York, everyone wants to play in LA, Golden State. Obviously, like still a nice area, but places like Memphis and
Yeah.
and Minnesota, Denver
Yeah.
don't get a lot of credit, and players don't want to go live there. Clearly, like
Yeah.
it comes down to geographic location as well, which is affecting a lot of players signing around the league.
Yeah. Well, that happens in a lot of sports, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is hard to control, but I mean, I think this season will be quite interesting. There are a lot of factors. I think you just look at Golden State and it's hard to go past them.
Yeah. Well, they wiped last year, and they just got better.
I mean,
Like
Western
they signed
Conference
Cousins.
Finals. Yeah, Western Conference Finals, they showed a lot of vulnerability. And I think if Chris Paul hadn't gotten injured in those last 2 games, Houston actually would have won, to be honest.
Yeah, and that game 7 in the Western Conference Finals also, I think it came down to Houston probably putting up one of the worst shooting performances in playoffs history in a Western Conference Final side of history. No, I think if they had made a couple of threes and they had gotten hot, then I think it could have been a completely different story going into that final series. But I think Golden State this year, they're on another planet. Getting Boogie, I think it's going to be tough.
Interesting to see
Well,
how...
isn't that a five all-star lineup now?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to see how Boogie comes off the Achilles injury.
Yeah.
A lot of players really don't come back the same from it. I mean, Kobe had the same one, and that's the one that sort of brought his career down. Just for Houston, though, I think I don't know if they've improved at all over the summer. I mean, losing Ariza and Luke Mbamute, who are sort of 2 of their premier wing defenders, who were key to sort of playing against Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant in that team. I mean, PJ Tucker is still in there, who's a really good defender, but Melo, a liability on defense, arguably. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of how they go this year. I think Melo really needs to prove himself again. I think everyone sort of jumped down his throat, though, off the one bad season. And I think it's a bit unjust as well. He came in late. He didn't get to go to training camp with OKC. He didn't get to blend in with the team. He was sort of just thrown into a role he's never played before and wasn't given much time to actually prepare for it. But it will be interesting to see how they go this year. But I mean, Boston as well improved a lot with Hayward coming back. Hopefully he has a big season. It'll be good to see him.
Are
sort of
LA
bounce
in the
back.
West or?
No, they're in the East, so I think
So it'll be LA and Boston and the big teams.
no LA are in.
Boston are East and LA are West.
Everything's in the East, in the West at the moment.
Yeah, that's what. So
Besides-
what did I say East?
yeah,
I meant to say West because I wanted to know if
It's all-
LeBron was with
yeah. So
Golden
Yeah.
State. So now it's basically Celtic are just the only
Celtics
big
and Toronto are in the East.
in the East, and then
Well,
I mean Philly as well.
So-
I mean I think everyone's sort of sleeping on them and just going, okay, well Celtics are winning it, but everyone's forgetting Ben Simmons coming into his probably second full season.
yeah,
And
it
Bede's
looks like a really
constantly
good team.
improving. Markel Fultz, I saw a video of him actually shooting, and
Much
it looks
better now.
much improved.
it's much
Yeah.
better than what it was last year when he was at his first ever probably training camp for the 76ers. So I think it's going to be exciting to see how he goes now that all that.
I mean, you
trouble's
you
ended.
watch him. Did you ever watch his sort of highlights from college?
No.
He was a gun. Like he just dominated. He'd pull up from anywhere, kind of thing. Shoot. He could get to the hole. Was really good off pick and roll. So, even if he's nowhere near that player, but can come out sort of get a bucket for when they need it. They've still got a lot of the shooters like Redick and I think Bellinelli left, which is a bit of a loss. And I'm not sure about
gone back to the
Elias
Spurs.
Sober.
I think Bellinelli went back to the Spurs.
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just on Fultz as well. I think it was very strange to see him change his jump shot, transitioning from college to the NBA. But I think as well they wanted to work on him having a faster release. But in the end, it just turned out to be an absolute mess.
Honestly, it was one of the weirdest situations I've ever seen in the NBA where there was just no information coming out and there were so many different stories on it. Some people were saying that he was injured and that's why he had a different jump shot, and then some people were saying that he's changed his jump shot sort of to get quicker and then he's
Yeah.
forgotten how to shoot, and it was just a
Massive mystery. One of those.
yeah, it was a really odd season for him, but I mean he's a young kid, so it will be good to see him come out and hopefully do well.
When
As a Laker fan, obviously I hope Lonzo Ball does better, but
I think
he's
they said,
changed his
said
jump
today
shot.
that Rondo's going to start.
yeah, well,
Lonzo.
in the off season, Lonzo did his meniscus,
Oh right.
so he hasn't been in training camp doing. I think he's just getting into the 5-on-5s. I'm not too sure, but he's getting back into it now. So I think once he's back to full health and the two of them are sort of competing for it, that's when it'll get interesting. But as a Laker fan, I want Lonzo to get time to develop and do it, but signing LeBron, you've got limited time on him at 35, I think it is he?
He's 35 at the end of this year. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, limited time on him, so we just need to go out and win. I really don't expect us to this year, but if we can come out and sign a big free agent the year after, and then see the likes of Brandon Ingram, Kuzma, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, all those young guys start to develop a bit more, and sort of really form a good squad, then I think we do have a genuine shot after a couple of years. Next season with big free agents such as Klay Thompson, if he ends up leaving, I really doubt he will, but Golden State do look vulnerable in certain situations. So, I mean, I hope it's not just Golden State winning for the next 6 years kind of thing, because It'll be-
one hopes
Because it
that.
looks that way.
it's just boring.
Out of
Yeah.
it's
But apparently Kevin Durant rumored to come to the Lakers next season, but
Oh.
it's all bullshit. I don't know. You can never trust some of the people coming out with their sources, but
Oh, there's been so
I-
many.
I think also Kemba Walker. I think he's going to leave soon. He was linked to the Lakers this off season at times.
I feel like he just gets linked to a lot of teams
Yeah.
because obviously they want to get rid of him because a few years ago when it was all those shitty contracts, the Luol Deng, Mozgov, Joakim Noah, all of them where the salary cap went up and they thought it was acceptable to sort of sign players to these
Yeah.
huge contracts. They really went out and just any like solid player for them that year signed them on huge contracts, which means that they haven't been able to sign anyone. So I can understand Kemba Walker getting frustrated because he carries his team with little to no help at all.
And from a Charlotte Hornets fan myself, it is frustrating because Kemba Walker, he finally had someone that could sort of help him out last season in Dwight Howard, and now that Dwight's gone, it's going to put everything on Kemba Walker back again, and it's just going to make things tough. And I just think this will be Kemba Walker's last season at the Hornets, sadly.
I think is he a free agent at the end of this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, so I don't blame him for moving at all.
And I think the Hornets front office, I think they would like to start sort of trying to build a future around someone like Malik Monk. He's got great potential at the moment, but I think this will be Kemba's last season.
I think it is hard for them as well because they finished sort of just outside the playoffs in the East, so they're not getting any amazing draft picks that look like stars, and they're also not getting any free agents or anything like that. So it's definitely not helping them at all. But sort of hoping to see them get back on track. It is definitely a better league when everyone's competitive. That's why it was interesting to see sort of the bottom half. I mean, the bottom half of the playoffs to the West, sort of from 3 to 8 or 3 to 9 even, with Denver just missing out.
And for such a long time as well, the Western Conference, it was just so competitive. I think probably from the early 2010s, maybe even before that, you had teams like the Spurs who finished first or second, and they're getting knocked off in the first round. That's just how competitive the playoffs and the Western Conference were.
Yeah, I think have you heard about sort of the theories on what to do with from the 1 to 16 in the playoffs? So it's an idea of instead of having playoffs of East versus West, it'll seed the top 16 teams, so 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, so on, in sort of the same format, but instead of just having a breeze through the East for the Eastern Conference teams, it'll mean that they have to sort of play against the harder West teams. It does get a bit confusing though, so it's such a big change as well for such a consistent thing in the NBA, but it would be interesting to see. Yeah. I mean, obviously changing up the All-Star game last year was sort of the first step towards it, and I think that was a big success.
I really liked that format. That new format was really good. I think the All-Star game was getting pretty stale, I sort of felt.
200 points from each team is just boring when it's sort of a wide-open dunk.
Yeah. I
mean, there's only so many dunks you can see in a game. But when you get to the end of the game and there's clutch shots and there's big plays coming up, that's when it gets really interesting, because that's sort of what you want from the All-Star game. You want these superstars to be competing. You don't want them to just be messing around too much. Obviously, through the first couple quarters, mess around, get some flashy plays in there. But to see it sort of get a bit serious in the second half and really try to tighten it up, and having sort of a motive on the line, I think it was the winner donates a certain amount to charity. So it's like, obviously you don't want to take the piss and lose and look like you're taking the piss out of charity, but it's definitely a good step by the NBA, and it makes it a lot more competitive having it sort of LeBron versus Steph Curry as well. So I did enjoy seeing that.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the last quick topic because we're running out of time. We'll just because our next podcast is going to be post the McGregor-Khabib fight, we'll do a quick prediction. What do you guys think? Because I think Tom would get pretty angry if we didn't talk about it.
Tom is usually the one to be on this, and I get most of my information off him anyway, but it's hard to go past Khabib just because he is undefeated and he's so relentless. Just his wrestling's ridiculous. He just gets them to the ground and just pummels them. So it is hard to go against him, but it doesn't take much for Conor to win a fight. I mean, you saw him against Jose Aldo, just the one punch, and he's out. So
even against Alvarez,
I think Khabib will win, but I want McGregor to win.
Yeah. Well, I watched that press conference the other day, and I actually thought that McGregor got into Khabib's head a little bit. Yeah. Because Khabib was sitting there and was trying not to get stuck into the trash talking or anything. He was sitting there trying to be calm, pretending he wasn't, getting fazed by him. And then by the end of the press conference, he was trying to... Yeah. He can't speak fucking English, but he was trying to trash talk back.
He was very fired up.
He
and
was seriously trying to get
it's a
stuck
big
into
mental
it.
edge. I mean, like,
Yeah.
McGregor manages to do it all the time, which sort of gives you hope for McGregor in a fight.
Mm.
A lot of the odds are against him, but I mean, he's just got a lethal left hand. The
Yeah.
amount of people he's just knocked out with it. So I wouldn't put it against him for him to win, but it is hard to go against Khabib, especially just
He's
'cause
just
so
got this
consistent.
mental edge as
I
well.
think one of the
McGregor.
things that made Khabib very unsettled at that press conference was the fact that Conor McGregor was waving that alcohol in his
Yeah,
face,
just
and
the whole time just taking the piss.
He's a Muslim, and
Yeah.
obviously, you're not allowed to drink alcohol, and that would have gone under his skin having him wave that bottle of whatever it was. What was it that he was?
It was his own whiskey,
Yeah,
wasn't
whiskey,
it?
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. His own brand.
That would make you feel very unsettled, especially for
Yeah.
Khabib.
Well, I was talking to Tom on Messenger the other day, and he was saying to me that he thought that Khabib wasn't phased at all, and Tom watches UFC like religiously, so maybe Tom's right. But from someone who doesn't really watch UFC, I thought Khabib looked a bit
And
flustered.
based off what I've seen of Khabib, he doesn't react like that ever. So for him to actually sort of get uncomfortable, get fired up, it was.
Yeah, you
You'd
could see
think
the
of it
switch.
as a win for McGregor coming out of the
Yeah.
press conference. I don't know how much it'll affect him, but he did get the mental edge on him in that, I'd say.
Yeah,
but
for sure. You could see the switch in from the start of that press conference to the end. Khabib was definitely flustered.
And that's what Conor McGregor can do to you, mate. I think he can bring out that sort of side that you've never seen. I think Eddie Alvarez, he's a pretty calm, cool dude as well. And Conor McGregor, made him into a trash talking,
Yeah.
arrogant. He had a big head going into that fight as well. And I think Conor McGregor had the edge. So
Yeah. Well, this has been a really good podcast. Thanks for filling in this week, guys. I really appreciate it.
thanks
and,
for having us.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you having us here, mate. Yeah, we had a great time. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I did, for sure. And we'll see you in 2 weeks with new premiers and
Fingers crossed us.
the result from the UFC
I think basketball starts in 2 weeks as well.
and the
That's
basketball and the
really
A-League.
Exciting topic.
So lots of things starting in 2 weeks.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Love you.
See you later.